I am 80 years old. My best friend Walter died last Tuesday. For 57 years, he was the closest thing I had to a brother. The funeral was small. Only his daughter, a few neighbors, and I. I sat in that silent chapel and realized that I was now the only guardian of all the memories we shared. All those private jokes, the silly arguments, the trips we took, the sound of his laughter. It's all here inside me now. And when I go, it will go. It's a strange burden to carry. And that made me think of all the things I wish I had understood when I was your age. Not when I was 80, but when I was 20, or 35, or 50. So I'm going to talk to you. Not as an expert, as a man whose time is running out. Walter and I met in our early 20s. We both got jobs at the same printing press. He was on the typesetting machine, I was on the binding line. It was noisy, and by the end of the day, you always had ink-stained hands. Sometimes we would go for a beer after the shift, just one, because neither of us had much money. We talked about the foreman, or baseball, or the girls we hoped to ask out. It was simple. Friendship felt automatic, as if it were part of the landscape of my life. I never thought to be grateful for it. It was just there, like the bus I took to go to work. You don't thank for the bus. You just wait for it to arrive. I got married at 26. Walter was my best man. He dropped the ring, his hands were shaking so much. We laughed about that for years. Then the kids came. A boy, then a girl. I got promoted to plant supervisor. More responsibility, more hours. Walter got married a few years later to a lovely woman named Carol. We still saw each other, but it became something you had to schedule. A barbecue every couple of months. A phone call that started with, "God, can you believe we haven't talked since June?" I remember one Saturday, it must have been 1978. I was almost 40. Walter called. He had gotten tickets to a baseball game for that afternoon, a spur-of-the-moment thing. "Let's go," he said. "It's a beautiful day. We'll eat a hot dog. We'll yell at the umpire." And I was painting the porch. Right in the middle of the task. The brushes, they were out. The can of paint open. I told him I couldn't. "The time is perfect for this," I said. "If I don't do it today, who knows when I'll be able to do it?" He said, "That's fine, another time." And there was no hint in his voice. He understood. I was being responsible. A man paints his porch. That's what you do. I didn't know I was making a decision. I thought I was just finishing a task. I thought there would be hundreds more Saturday afternoons. The game was played without me. The porch looked nice when I finished. But that afternoon was gone. I can't tell you who won the game. I can't tell you what we would have talked about in the stands. I only remember the color of the paint. It was a kind of grayish green. That's how it happens. That's the slow cost. It's not a dramatic big rejection. It's 100 small reasonable decisions. It's working late to finish the report because you want to provide. It's being too tired on Sunday to return a call. That is to say, next year for the fishing trip. You think you are building a life, and you are. But you don't see the other life, the one made of memories that were never made, that silently is not built alongside it. Walter and I remain friends. Of course. We had dinner together every Christmas. We sent each other cards. When my wife Eleanor got sick, he drove across the city in the rain to sit with me in the hospital waiting room. He didn't say much. He just sat there. That's when you need people. In emergencies. And I was grateful. But the ordinary fabric of friendship, the daily or weekly texture, had worn thin over the decades. It had been replaced by history. We were connected by who we had been, more than by who we were at that moment. And that seemed enough. It seemed the natural way of things. You get busy. You have a family. You have responsibilities. The turning point wasn't dramatic either. It was a phone call about 3 years ago. It was Carol. Walter had fallen. After getting out of the shower, he was fine, but he had bruised his hip quite badly. "He's becoming a bit fragile," she said. And I thought, Walter, fragile, the man who could lift a pallet of paper like it was nothing. I went to see him. He was in his armchair with a blanket over his legs. He looked smaller, not just thinner, but condensed. We talked about our knees mostly, and about the pharmacy delivery service. We ran out of conversation topics by 4 in the afternoon. I helped him go to the bathroom, my hand under his elbow, feeling the sharp bone of his arm. It was something intimate and terrible. We had shared beers, secrets, triumphs, and now I was helping him go to the bathroom. It was then that I knew, in my gut, that the clock was no longer keeping time. It was telling the hour. After that, I tried harder. I called every Sunday. I would go see him on Wednesday afternoons. We watched old movies. We didn't always talk, but we were there. It was nice. He would pat me on the back for being a good friend. But this is the truth, the one that settles in my stomach like a stone. It wasn't the same. We couldn't go back to being who we were. We couldn't rebuild the shared language of two men in the middle of their lives, with the world ahead of them. That was gone. All we had was the shore, after the tide had receded. We could look at the shells, remember the water, but the sea itself was distant. And then, last week, the call. It was quiet, in his sleep. I felt a calm kind of emptiness. One of those where you keep waiting for the feeling to hit you, and it doesn't, not in the way you expect. What cannot be fixed is time. The intervening decades. Tuesdays, ordinary moments we could have spent having a coffee, baseball games, car rides with no destination. I was so focused on building something, a career, a stable home, a reputation, that I didn't notice I was letting the foundations of my life, the people who gave it meaning, erode silently. I thought success was a monument you built alone. It's not. It's a warmth you feel in a room when someone who knows you completely walks in. And now that room is empty. So, if you're listening to this, and you're younger, this is what I wish I had known. Don't confuse urgency with importance. The email that needs a response right now is almost never as important as the child asking you to look at a drawing, or the friend leaving a voicemail just to hear your voice. The world will manufacture endless urgency. It will never manufacture importance for you. You have to see it for yourself. They will tell you to make contacts, to build connections. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about caring. Like a garden. You have a few plants that are your responsibility. You water them regularly. You give them sunlight. You don't neglect them for entire seasons and then expect them to bloom when you finally remember. Friendship, love, family. It's not a transaction. It's a practice, a daily, weekly, humble practice of being present. Regret doesn't come from the things you did wrong. For those, you can apologize. You can fix them. The sharpest regret comes from the things you didn't do. The invitation you declined, the visit you postponed, the I love you thought was implied, so you didn't say it. Those are debts you will never be able to repay. And you will think, I have time. It's the most dangerous thought you will ever have. You don't have time. You have this moment, and then the next one. And a finite number after that. Don't save your tenderness for a special occasion. Today is the occasion. When you reach my age, you won't think about the deals you closed, or the promotions you got, or the things you owned. You will think about faces, hands, voices, the sound of someone's footsteps in your hallway. You will think about the time you wasted, thinking you were saving it. I loved Walter, and he knew it. That gives me a little comfort. But I miss the man he was 30 years ago, and I miss the man I was with him. And I wish I had known that friendship was not a monument, permanent and unchanging. It was a living being. And I, too often, was elsewhere, watering other plants. Less important. The time I have left is brief now. I can feel it. It's not a terrifying feeling. It's a clear feeling. like the afternoon light that is fading. What I have left is this: the memory of a friend, the love for my children and grandchildren, and this quiet hope that perhaps my mistakes may be of some use to you. Don't live on promises of later. The later is a thief. Look around you. Who matters? Be present, now. That's all I've learned.